58 addresses and hundreds of names attached to those addresses.
I mean, what are we going to have to do here? A citizen arrest because the FBI won't do its job?
Well, what we can do, you're going to think I'm crazy.
No.
But what we can do, one of the names attached to these addresses is Tony Tiger and Steve Young, Kamora Simmons, Mary Gross, Bobby Womack, Tyra Banks, Nick Newman, Tom Jones.
What's your suggestion? What do we do?
Well, all these names were attached to these addresses between 2004 and 2009. So I think we can put two and two together on those.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the ones in Illinois.
How do we force the federal bureaucrats to do their job?
Well, they're not going to.
Well, how do we bring this man to justice?
Someone's going to have the courage in government, to use the information that we have. I mean, my information has actually been verified and also corroborated, by another person who, is a private investigator. And she has 20 years worth of experience in this business.
Is that Susan?
Yes, sir, it is. It's Miss Susan Daniels.
Yes, okay. She's been a guest on the program. All right.
Yes, sir. And initially, and if you know Susan like I do, you know that she's very thorough in everything she does. I mean, she even sent me evidence so I could corroborate it from my findings, and say about maybe 95% of it is a match.
What were your thoughts about the digital birth certificate they put on the White House website?
I made a better one over the weekend. I'm not going to lie to you. I actually put my name and my signatures on everything.
Uh-huh.
And this is what they did. Okay, they took a background. Okay, which is a safety background. It's a safety background. That they put on official documents. Okay, and actually, whenever I process checks, for my clients, whenever I go to pay them, well, I use that security background, but mine's blue on my checks, and instead of the green one. And I get those in blank sheets of paper, from the companies I get, to process my checks, for when I go to do my payouts. And what they did was they took a document and layered it on top of the blank screen or on top of the blank page. And what they did was they just basically cut and pasted. They just basically cut and pasted, and then they did it transparent. So what you do is you take you cut and paste the background, shrink it to fit. Take that background and move it over whatever you want it to cover. Then on top of that background, you put a text box. Inside of that text box, you key in you type in what you want to type in, but remember you have to use the proper font. And the font that they used was actually, it's called it's a typeset font. It's a carbon font. That's what it is. It's a carbon type font.
Mm-hmm.
It's the font that they used. And I had to blow it up to like 600 to 800% in order so that way I could look at the obvious the obvious pixels. When a computer does it, it does it differently than the way a typewriter does. Because you know how when you type with a manual typewriter like they did in the 60s,
mm-hmm.
You know how sometimes a letter might come up or down or the spacing might be off, between the letters. The spacing on the letters are identical. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually see the 90-degree right angles in the S's and the T's and stuff like that. And then you can also see the pixel marks because you know how you make let's say the letter U or an S. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a 90-degree angle at the corners, for the S's because that makes the end. And so you're going to get a straight line to make the top, and then to make the curves, it uses separate pixels to form the round edges.
What you're saying, Al, is if Obama were simply a regular citizen and he was under investigation for a criminal act, any good criminal investigator, this would be a slam dunk to put this guy in prison.
He couldn't make bail.
They couldn't make bail. Listen, Obama couldn't get a job as a janitor in a federal building or a defense contractor.
No, it would be impossible. Now, as a community organizer, yeah.
Okay.
That's the people they live for.
Who do you think this guy is? Is he just a common street hustler who's jive talked his way into the White House? Is he part of the Chicago mafia? Is he a foreign plant?
No.
Who is he?
I kind of feel sorry for him, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Look at the way that this man grew up. Okay.
You're saying he doesn't know anything else other than lying?
That's about the extent of it. Look at his mother. Okay. She had her own social philosophy on socialism or
yeah, it's called communism.
Right. And his father was the same. I mean, they met in the 60s, and whatever college that they were going to. I don't even know what college they went to. And so she looked at his father, from the standpoint of, well, he thinks like I do, I'm radical, and let me go and do this, and I'm going to hook up with this guy. I like him. Okay, and obviously, Barack Obama's daddy, he said, "Ooh, she's good looking. I'm gonna hook up with her." That's basically what happened. And then Barack Obama's born. And I've dispelled the rumor that he's not a Cuban or anything like that. He's, he was born by Barack Obama Sr. and his mama. Okay, and but the thing is, though, this is what I think happened. Okay, she went to Africa with him to visit his family. Okay? Old Barack was born over there. They come back here. They go through all the rigmarole and paperwork to, they say that he was born here. Because when she left, remember back in the 60s, whenever you left in the United States for a period of time, when you came back, you started to prove that you're an American.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You had started to prove that you're an American. So that was the thing that they were having to do. Was prove that she was an American and her son was an American. But everybody knows that his father, Barack Obama Sr., was a British national because at the time, Britain, Kenya was actually, what was it, a colony of Great Britain?
That's right. And World Net Daily has brought out through Dr. Jerome Corsi that, back in the 60s, the U.S. State Department Immigration Office had questions about Barack Obama Sr. They said they didn't know how many wives he had. Harvard wanted him booted out of the country because of his polygamy, because of his lack of financial support, because of the questions about Barack Hussein Obama. So you're saying he's the son of a liar?
Yes, and remember though that's all he knows. So he's growing up without parents, having to rely on his grandparents. God rest their souls. And so who was his mentor in Hawaii?
A communist.
Right.
Marshall Davis. See, I think you're being too nice on the guy. I think the guy's a communist plant. I think he was put here to preside over the destruction of the constitutional republic. This is why the founding fathers wisely said that a president had to be a natural-born citizen, because the founding fathers actually feared that a foreign king would plant a young person in this country for the purpose of taking over the country. That was not a conspiracy theory to the founding fathers. They feared it. And I believe that's exactly what is taking place with Barack Hussein Obama.
I was scared half to death of what I found. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared.
Oh, this is deep. This is deep. This man did not do this by himself. He didn't come up with all these lies by himself. He was
taught.
He was taught, but he's still being assisted. This Weinberg, this law firm. Come on, these people are involved in this cover-up. There are a lot of people who ought to go to prison. This is a deep criminal conspiracy that's underway, and it's been underway for many years to conceal the identity of this man who goes by the name Barack Hussein Obama. He is a criminal. He is a fraud.
There's no doubt about it. He's committed real estate fraud and tax fraud. Not to mention the ethics violations that he's committed by having a contributor as a registered owner, or one that shows up, even if they show up as an owner of the property, that is still an impropriety.
Al, I wish I had another half hour to keep this going. I'm out of time.
We've been talking for 30 minutes. Okay.
Well, we have gone. This is incredible information. I would love to have you back. You and I will stay in touch. I am not going to let go of this guy. I'm going to stay on it until the Mac Daddy is in prison. He needs to go.
Do you want me to send you the addresses that I got for him
Yes.
all over the country?
Just hang on the phone, and you and I'll exchange my private cell number with you, email address and things. We're going to stay in touch with you. I'm going to stay on this until this criminal is handcuffed and in prison.
Just be sitting down when you look at what I have, okay? Don't read it standing up. Don't be drinking anything or eating anything, okay?
Okay.
Reporting the countdown to the second coming of Jesus Christ. This is True News.
True news that you will not hear on Fox News or CBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, or any of the other networks. They're not going to touch this subject. This is why you need true news. The mainstream news media is really fake news, false news. We live in an age of deception. Jesus told us that in the last days the deception would be so great that if it were possible, even the elect of God would be deceived. Now more than ever, it is vitally important that the body of Christ have a news network, a worldwide news network that gets its inspiration and revelation from the Holy Spirit and not from the synagogue of Satan. We have the opportunities, my friend, to take this ministry to the next level. We have the opportunity to buy at a fraction of the cost a professional, modern, new office building